All right, time for some Cowboys talk with Bryan Broaddus after a tremendous showing on Monday Night Football. I don't know how many people expected the Cowboys to win, but it definitely did not go down in a way that inspires any level of confidence moving forward. I don't know. I guess open-ended question to start here, Bryan. I guess what were the biggest things that stood out to you about last night's game against the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of things, Jared, that you were going to have to do in order to win that football game. You caught a break with Kyler Murray not being accurate in the game. I mean, they took some deep shots, and Kirk made a heck of a play, a fingertip catch, to get their first touchdown. But Kyler Murray was off throwing the football. The problem you run into when you play Kyler Murray is, though, his ability to run around and make some plays. And that's what they were able to do with him. They set up some opportunities where, the Cowboys are holding defense well. And then, it's a 3rd and 10 and he scrambles for 11. They don't get off. I mean, they get Jalen Smith in space. Worley doesn't get off the block on the outside. Murray scoots to the edge. It's a first down. I mean, these are things that hurts you in a game defensively when you're trying to get off the field, when you're playing well. You got them in a long yardage situation. And then on the offensive side of the ball, though, you're really compromised with this offensive line. Unfortunately, Zach Martin goes down. He gets kneed in the head. He's dealing with a concussion. Connor McGovern's in there playing right guard. He had some early problems. They don't pick up a couple of blitzes from Budda Baker. There's just all kinds of things that kind of go on. This team absolutely can't afford to have any type of mistakes, and especially from their best player, when Ezekiel Elliott, he's one of the guys you kind of hang your hat on for this team. And when he makes mistakes, then it's generally, it spells trouble for the rest of the team. And they're just not good enough defensively to have to stop somebody that way, on a short field. So just a lot of things you can get into about what you saw and what you can see going forward.
Okay, I want to ask you, let's start with Zeke. What have you seen from Zeke this year? How would you characterize what he's bringing? And fumbles, I mean, I know the fumbles are part of it, but we'll get into the fumbles in a second. But just as a runner, as a when he's got the ball as a playmaker, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I feel like that at least I feel like he's a little bit better. There's been some times where early in the season, he's never looked really good coming out of the gate. And I thought overall, there were times where he has looked very good carrying the football. I just feel like now that there's so much pressure on him to have to do that, to have to make plays. And, he's compensated as one of the top players in the league. And, that's his responsibility. And, with all the injuries they've had, they just don't block well enough up front. It's one of those things where he's going to have to create. He's going to have to find a way to make some yards on his own. And I think that it's been tough for him. When he's having to pick and choose and find and seek and all these things to try and find holes that aren't there, then it's been a little bit of a problem for him. But I think the burst has been there. I don't know about the extended speed, that we saw early in his career. I mean, that seems to be an issue, but the toughness and trying to finish and all those things it's so unfortunate though with the turnovers. And I know you said we're going to get into that. That's the thing. I think that he's really, really trying so hard to finish runs. And, people know now that they could go after the ball. Heck, it's even funny on the sidelines. He runs out of bounds, and one of their guys on the sidelines, Pugh, the guard, he's just standing there, and he even swipes at the ball. I mean, Zeke is running off the field, and here's a guard, and he just kind of paws at the ball, and Zeke kind of moves it away from him. So, teams they know that he's going to put it on the ground, and that's been the tough part about it for him. But I think the compromised offensive line, the lack of point of attack blocking, I think has really hurt him.
All right, so the fumbling, in your experience, is that cyclical, or is it a phase? Are there guys who are just not good at holding on to the ball? Is it, I remember Amon Green in Green Bay had a stretch where he really struggled to hold on to the ball, and he ended up having those rubber elbow things, and I think that actually helped him. I know some people don't want anything. You had mentioned that, Zeke's sleeves, which the sleeves are way different than those rubber things. The sleeves might be impacting him. I mean, it seems like they're guys who at some point maybe they go through a stretch like Zeke where they can't hold on to the ball, but then they correct it because I don't know. It just seems like of all the skills, holding onto the ball is not the most difficult to have. But I don't know. What's your take on the fumbles?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the sleeve part of it. I just thought that was something different. When you have, I'm one of those guys that believes ball to skin, and then, but when I studied the game this morning, Zeke, the first fumble, he never had the ball secure. Just never did. The ball with Andy's pushing it to him. He's trying to get upfield. The ball is loose. He's kind of flagging it. It gets hit. It comes out. That's just ball security right there. That's just being conscious of, okay, I got the ball. I've got to pull it to me. And now I got to go forward. And, he's trying to make a play, but yeah, the ball's exposed. The second fumble, I mean, when he makes the cut, the ball is moving in his arm. I mean, you could see it moving in his arm, and then the defender hits it, and then it's on the ground. I mean, there's that security issue there, and I mentioned the sleeves because I've been, with backs before, and you bring up Green Bay backs. I was with Edgar Bennett in Green Bay, who was a great cold weather back, and he never wore sleeves, because he always wanted to keep the ball on his arm. As cold as it was, he wanted skin to ball. And, that way it made him conscious of keeping it tight to him. And so that's where I felt like the sleeves, if they're wet, if it's moving, I just harkened back to my day with Edgar Bennett and knowing how secure he was, carrying the football and doing it without any type of extra stuff on his arms.
Broaddus, one of the narratives, really in the NFL is how bad the NFC East is. And gosh, I mean, this division is horrible. I can't remember. I guess quick question, just in your football memory, do you remember a division that's this bad as bad as the NFC East? And I obviously used to be more than 4 teams in a division, and we haven't had the same alignment. But I remember the year the Seahawks got to the playoffs 7-9, but like.
Yeah.
I don't even.
They beat the Saints actually.
Yeah, that was
in a wild card game in Seattle. Yeah, long run by Beast Mode.
Yeah,
long
run. But I don't remember that division wasn't this. I mean, this division is horrible. Do you remember division?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, like when I first started in Green Bay in '92. The Packers, we weren't very good. I mean, we were 9-7 our first year, but they hadn't had a winning season since like 1989. Detroit was up and down. Chicago was kind of in between that Super Bowl team to, transitioning into some different phases with Mike Ditka. I mean, I just remember, I can't think of anything. I know that the division with Arizona and San Francisco, the Rams at times were, I mean, there's been some divisions where, the teams within the division. I think that this division, I think Philadelphia is the best team in this division. And the record doesn't show that. But the one thing that when you watch Philadelphia play, and I have the last 2 weeks really looking at them. Now, they lost to the football team to start the season. They've struggled throughout some games and stuff. Cincinnati had them on the ropes. Cincinnati should have scored a touchdown. That game should have never got to the overtime. But they've played Pittsburgh and Baltimore really well the last 2 weeks. And I'm thinking, as banged up, beat up as they are, I don't know if the Cowboys could have played the Ravens and the Steelers that well. So, but yeah, the division, it's a lot of teams that have injuries, a lot of teams that have some quarterback issues at the football team. So, it really is what it is right now as a division, because I think everybody in the division has their issues, mainly injury-wise. The Giants with Saquon Barkley, the football team with their quarterback situation, the Cowboys with their injuries, and then the Eagles with their injuries as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with the Eagles. I think one of the, whether people were doing it with a smile on their face or just begrudgingly, but when Dak went down, a lot of people said, well, the Cowboys are still going to win this division. And I was hesitant to make that claim because of what you just mentioned. I saw them against uh, 2 weeks ago against the Ravens, and
Yeah.
I thought they competed well against the Steelers. They didn't win, but I thought they competed, against the Ravens this past week, and I
Right.
thought they competed well. And you mentioned the injuries. They just lost Zach Ertz and Miles Sanders, but they're going to get Alshon Jeffrey back. They're going to get Deshaun Jackson back, although Deshaun might be out after like 3 plays. They'll get Dallas Goedert back. I don't think the Eagles are a good team, but to me, I don't think I hate to say I don't think it's close, but I don't have any hesitancy in saying the Eagles are the best team in this division. Now, again, they're not good, but I don't even think it's a toss-up between the Eagles and the Cowboys right now, especially after watching the Cowboys
Not right
last
now.
night.
No.
You know,
With Dak Prescott playing, that's your equalizer right there. That's your difference. I mean, I'm not saying if Dak Prescott plays last night, Andy Dalton had a couple of plays that I know Dak Prescott would have made in that game. I know there were a couple of reads that he would have made, a couple of throws he made. After watching the tape this morning, there were some routes that Andy missed. And, but they didn't do a very good job of picking up some blitzes. They had some untimely sacks, the turnovers. This team has to be perfect. I mean, they do a great job of getting Michael Gallup on the linebacker inside right before half. That's got to be a touchdown. That can't be a missed pass. And so, that's where they're at right now as far as with the team. But as far as being better than the Eagles, I don't think the Cowboys would have been as competitive against the Steelers and the Ravens with this current group.
Yeah, no, I agree. Broaddus, last thing, just defensively, I don't think there's anything wrong with Kyler Murray running circles around a defense. I mean, for my money, he's one of the most enjoyable players to watch. He's really exciting. But, man, it's not like Kenyon Drake is one of the best running backs in the NFL. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of the conversation has been, correct me if I'm wrong, he's kind of having a down year. People in Arizona weren't too thrilled. They thought maybe he'd build off last year. I mean, you could have fooled Cowboys fans yesterday who are seeing him for the first time. The broadcasters on the TV side were mentioning it just seems like, the Cowboys defense had just quit. And I hate saying that. I don't like, I like to instead frame it, compete. It just didn't seem like they were competing with the same level of intensity. I don't know. I'm just curious what you make of the Cowboys defense.
Well, I think that having Leighton Vander Esch back, I was thinking, I thought early gave them a little bit of a boost. The problem is, though, with the Cowboys is they're asking some guys to do some things that they're not capable of playing. Worley, the corner, give the Cardinals a lot of credit. The Cowboys were rotating their cornerbacks. They were putting Brown in there. They were putting Worley in there. They were putting Lewis in there. They're putting Diggs in there. I mean, they were trying to rotate their guys. They were playing with 7 defensive backs at times. And they caught Dallas in a coverage where Worley was one-on-one with Kirk. And that's what got him their first touchdown. And we've kind of seen this from, each week that they give up a big play because somebody matches up somebody with a player that's not capable of making plays. And that's on the coaches. If you're going to continue to run a guy like Worley out there who can't carry people down the field, he just can't, that's on you. And teams see that they're not getting the pass rush that we all thought they were. They're not getting the defensive tackle play that we thought they were. With Vander Esch being out, there was some problems with the run. I felt like the last touchdown run that Arizona had, that play probably doesn't happen if Dallas doesn't use their timeouts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Mike McCarthy trying to set, okay, we're going to keep playing. He used his last 2 timeouts. I think Arizona was trying to run the clock out, and you got a run popped on you for a touchdown. And it's a bad situation. The game's in hand. Just let it play out. And he didn't, and Arizona scored. So Mike Nolan's had his issue. The players have had their issues. They just don't create turnovers, and they turn over the ball on offense, and they're not really great on special teams either. You had a missed field goal, last night. Greg Zuerlein, he's supposed to be a good long-range kicker. Greg the leg.
Leg, yeah.
Try a field goal. I mean, 58 yards is a long field goal, but you miss. That's like a turnover to me. So, they have a lot of issues. It's just not this defense. But that's a lot of it, I think, because of the players they have playing.
So basically, in summation, Cowboys are going to win out. That's what we're.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
No, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that they'll go and the football team this weekend, it'll probably be a close game depending on who they play at quarterback. But what's the health of Zach Martin? There's a lot of things that are kind of swirling now. There's some personnel changes they have got to make. They cannot. Hopefully you get a Woozier back, and you don't have to play Worley anymore. Hopefully you can do some things to kind of play around some things. But, I don't think it was quit. I think it was just they're not good enough. But in summation of it all, like I said, I feel like that they'll go get a win this weekend, and then we'll see what happens in Philadelphia. And then you've got Pittsburgh, a bye, Minnesota, and then Baltimore. I think you'll learn a lot about your football team, about what you think is going to happen in the second half after that. If they don't win against the football team this weekend, I don't expect them to win in Philadelphia then. And then it's now about just playing out the string and trying to get in draft position, in my opinion. Crazy
thing is, Broaddus, I still think the Cowboys are decisively better than the New York Jets, which is sad to think about for Jets fans.
Yeah, that is, and I've sat down and watched the Jets play before, and it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. But there's a lot of teams that are in distress right now. A lot of teams. The Jets are one of those. Cowboys are in distress as well.
Yeah. Broaddus, appreciate it as always.
Hey, take care. Thanks, man.